Oh, hey. So, everyone, welcome to Hella Kvetch. Am I saying that
Ah,
right?
Hella? What is
Hella,
Hella?
Hella, Hella,
Oh,
Hella,
Hella. Ah,
Hella.
it's a hell
He-
of a thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm the Kvetch then.
yeah. And over here it's the Hella because here in the Bay Area, yeah, I know you all use it, back east, but here in the 415 and the 510, we claim Hella as our thing much in the way that what Bostonian, like, Sicilian, them folks would say, like, wicked.
Or Pak the Ka.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's Hella Kvetch. So Laura and Midori talking at you. And this is apparently our inaugural Cherry Poppin' episode.
Wait, what? Oh, so it is. I didn't dress up for it.
So,
Uh,
yeah. Uh, I guess we should uh, introduce this. Yeah, we're going to be making this a regular thing, aren't we?
yeah, because number one, why the hell not?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, as many people who know us both understand, we are longtime friends who mostly see each other for 15 minutes in a hallway while we're on the way to something else,
Right? And then later that night at an event, getting together.
right? And we
Mm-hmm.
have a couple of drinks and then we talk as long as we can stay awake and we say, we must do this again. I love talking with you. And then we, see each other next time in
Which
a
is like
hallway
every 6 months if we're lucky because events.
because
And then,
events,
yeah, and I'm in New York often, but our schedules don't often meet up.
because New York.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also because you stay in Manhattan and I'm keeping it real in Queens.
Ooh, shade. Okay. So, yeah. So, I want to be better in touch with you, and when we start talking, we kind of have a pattern, and we just kind of go off. And so we figured, well, why the hell not share that with the world? Yeah.
Exactly. Let us take our snark and kvetching and give it to well, not to the masses, really. At least not yet. But for the nonce, our patrons.
Hmm.
Hi,
We
patrons.
love you.
We love you. Oh my God, did we just do that at the same time?
Yes, 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 we totally did.
Sister from another mister. I tell you,
Yeah,
it's another reason why we need to do this because we're totes fam. I mean,
yeah.
Midori doesn't know this, but she has to have some kind of a secret Jewish past.
I could be double jab. I'm just saying, I could be double jab. And I can say that, people.
Oh, I was going to say, in case you couldn't catch from the name of the show thing that we're doing, um, this is not necessarily always friendly.
Yeah. So, what can people expect from our Hella Kvetch? What are we expecting from this?
What you mean in addition to being able to hang out and
Yeah.
talk about our favorite stuff and
Yeah.
fetch about the things we hate?
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's it.
Step three, make money? All right, I got
And
nothing.
love on our patrons. We're just going to be talking about our favorite stuff and things that annoy the fuck out of us. And if you send us good questions, we might even address that. And along
Oh,
the way,
absolutely.
yeah, along the way as we do stuff, we'll you know, who knows? We might have special things for you. Who knows?
Yeah, we could refine it down. We have
Yeah,
many, many areas of expertise and even more areas where we think we have expertise,
even better.
right?
I want to step back a bit, and we should probably explain the term kvetch. We explained hella, which is like a regional term to me, hella of a, hella. But what's kvetch? Where does the word come from? How do you spell it?
Kvetch, and then you could put in a ch or just an h at the end. Kvetch is from the Yiddish and it means to complain. But it doesn't just mean to complain. It means to complain with purpose.
So I'm going to be the goy of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you better
Yes, your turn
explain
to be.
what. Okay.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So, so goy. Goy means person of the world. It means a person of a nation that's not mine, right? So, so you would say you have Americans and you have the goyim, everyone who's not American. Im being the sound that makes it plural. So goy is a person who is not Jewish.
I'm gonna
And
back. Yep.
when non-Jews use it, what they usually mean is someone who's not part of our thing.
So,
Yet.
so at some point or another, we can go into how I suspect that actually on my mother's side, we had this conversation. Yeah.
Right.
Now let's back up even more. Yiddish. What's Yiddish?
Yiddish is a those languages that started out of other languages. So Yiddish is a combination of German and Hebrew used by German and Central European Jews for a couple of centuries and is still in use by some minority communities now. But it was for a while a dwindling language. And now the community that speaks Yiddish is divided between the extreme Orthodox Jewish and scholars of the language who are mostly atheists and socialists because Jews.
And then the colloquial use of Yiddish.
Um,
New York.
is New York pronunciation. It's the kind of talking that explains things in a rhythm and leaves a lot for you to fill in because we all know you know what's coming after I say the thing.
Boy.
Or I should say, oish.
Mm-hmm. So Yiddish is to your folks like what in the Pacific we call pidgin.
Ah, well, it would be if people voluntarily used pidgin in order to not use a sacred language.
Ah, okay, there's a difference. Whereas pidgin was developed out of trade necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas Yiddish was used so that you would not use the sacred language of Hebrew in common discourse.
Hmm.
Also, because you had to learn the local languages where you were living. And so, um, since the majority of the scholarly Jews in a certain time period came out of Germany, thanks, Germany, you wiped 90% of them out. Well done. Yiddish became a predominant language throughout most of Northern and Eastern Europe. But in Southern Europe and North Africa and the Middle East, the Portmanteau language is of Sephardic origin. So it's Spanish and Moroccan and a little bit of Arabic, and it's called Ladino. And it's a beautiful language to sing and read in.
And since we're going towards talking about Yiddish and the sacred and language and all that, isn't there a big deal day coming up?
Yeah, kinda. There's a thing. Oh yeah, it's that time of year when Jews get ready to beat the shit out of each other. Okay, not exactly true.
Maybe we should back up. What in the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about
and
Passover.
by the way, this is being recorded on March 25th of 2020.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's significant because it's right after
We all became socially isolated because
right.
There's plague in the land.
Now Passover is marked by lunar calendar, right?
All Jewish holidays come on a lunar calendar.
Yes, as is the old school Japanese holidays and continental Asian holidays.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. So I mentioned the date because it's relevant as we have passed the equinox.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes,
And
springtime holidays.
yep,
Holidays go seasonally all over the world.
great. And so Passover is coming up. Take it away.
So, Passover is the number one observed holiday among Western and non-Orthodox Jews. Jews who are completely secular, who never go to synagogue, who don't believe in God. They may, in fact, have considered themselves belonging to other faith traditions or philosophical traditions. There are many Jew Buddhists. Yeah, um, yeah, Jew Boos.
And boo Jews.
Passover and Boo Jews. Passover remains a consistent one, mostly because I need to wait for you to finish swallowing. We have the holidays where we don't eat and the holidays where we eat, and Passover is a holiday of eating. And it's generally considered one of the number one times of year for family to get together and enact a major Jewish ritual that is designed to be done at home. And that is the Passover Seder. And years ago, now more than 20 years ago, my wife and I sat down to write a Seder, which is something any Jew can do, by the way. Judaism is kind of an open source religion. Yeah, so anyone could do this, but we sat down to write our own type of Seder specifically for the kink and leather community.
Now, why would the kink and leather community need something separate? Or
Well,
unique? Maybe not separate, but unique.
right. Well, it's because of the theme. You ever see that movie, The Ten Commandments, the one with Charlton Heston?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Awesome movie. So much overacting. And the orgy at the end, where basically their most naughty behavior is giving girls piggyback rides. I well, flinging jewelry around in the air is absolutely worth sitting down for. But Passover is the time of year where you sit around a table, you eat a meal in a ritual fashion, where you tell the story of how the Jews were enslaved by the Egyptians, treated harshly for generations, and then Moses came and they left slavery into freedom. And so it's kind of weird to be sitting at a Seder table, going along with the Seder, and they give you a book to follow along with, the most famous of which in the United States is distributed by a coffee company. Anyway, so you're reading through the Seder, and you see over and over again phrases like, once we were slaves, now we're free. And the story about leaving the bitterness of slavery behind, and how it burns and harms you, and the sweetness of freedom. And you're sitting there and saying, well, the other night though, I was with someone that uses the word slave positively, and we had an awesome time, and this is a little awkward right now. And so I thought, we are a community that really wants ritual. We make up ritual all the time and often pretend it's old and established.
Ye olde garde Euro house of leather gerbils.
That was the one. So, you want old guard? I've got your old guard right here. We're going to spend the entire night talking about slavery and what it means and how it reflects on modern communities. And we are going to talk about the philosophy of freedom and responsibility and all these things. And we're going to do it in an extremely controlled ritual style once a year.
And when you say old guard, my friend, how many years old? Are we talking 10, 20, a couple of hundred?
Well, the Leather Seder itself was written in the late 1990s, call it 98, 99. And I think we had the first one in the year 2000.
Oh,
but
no, I meant
Seders themselves.
Yes.
Seders themselves go back to the post-temple era. So we're after 70 Common Era. So after the year, 70. somewhere in the mid hundreds to maybe 1000 Common Era.
Yeah, that's
Why?
been a minute.
Because, Jews couldn't go to the temple anymore, so they had to figure out how to, do it yourself, basically. And so the Seder grew out of, we all go to the temple and sacrifice a lamb, to we all stay at home and have dinner. And by the way, if you're in Eastern Europe, it shouldn't be lamb, because then it looks like Easter, and that's awkward.
Wow. So stay at home and workarounds.
Yeah. Jews are flexible. Like I said, open source.
Adaptive.
Right?
Yeah.
So since anyone can write a Seder, my wife and I sat down and did it.
And having experience dealing with disasters and pandemics.
A little.
Yeah.
A little. But you can find Seders with all kinds of themes. There are socialist Seders that never mention God. There are civil rights Seders of many different kinds, and very lefty ones. There are vegetarian Seders. There are rhyming Seders. Seders designed for kids. Seders designed for people from different populations. So many. I have a collection of different guides. And we piled them all on the table and used them as inspiration as we put together our own. And it is called Avadim Hayinu. Once we were slaves. That's what Avadim Hayinu actually means. And it's a Seder for the BDSM community. And this year it's kind of sad, actually, because we won't be able to do it the way we usually do.
And I'm going to ask the obvious, because some people might be hopefully watching this down the road, assuming we have a future.
Right?
Oh, why is it sadder than usual?
Because we're all going to die.
Yeah, right. I'm
fine. I'm
fine,
really. Yeah. So yeah, New York is the epicenter of a new pandemic. Hey, it's a hell of a town.
Yeah.
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 And it's definitely unwise for people to travel long distances, for people to come to New York in general, and for people to travel for non-essential reasons. Now, I think a Seder is essential, but I also value my friends and family way too much to ask that they leave their homes to come and join me in mine, even though it's the one thing I love. I'm fine. But for over 20 years, Karen and I have been inviting kinky people and alt-sex experts and friends of all kinds, rabbis, international musicians, other writers and artists, and occasionally random people we met in comedy clubs, which is how we wound up with Andy Borowitz at our table one year, before he became famous writing satirical columns.
No shit.
Oh. Met him at an open mic night, and I was talking about a leather Seder, and he said, "Oh my God, if I could go to a leather Seder, I would, go to synagogue more often." So I gave him my number, and he came, and then he was famous later. So,
and okay, coincidence?
Well, other people we've had at our Seder, David Stein of blessed memory was a regular for many years. David Horowitz also came. People you might know like Lolita and Boy Meat were guests. And Michelle Serchuk, rather beautiful artistic photographer. I was getting to you. And yes, you've been there and you've held the table hostage. Everyone remembers that year. I
think you better explain.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of out of order, but at one point in the meal.
Oh, we can wait. Yeah.
Okay. Sure, we can wait till later.
Yeah.
What can I tell you about this thing that you've been to and you're pretending you don't know anything about?
That's right. I just playing the voice of the audience and the goy of the day.
Well, the difficulty this year is that I can't have like 23 people in my living room having my amazing brisket and all the other things that I make for the holiday. Our synagogue is allowing me to do a Zoom class on making one of the dishes that's
Oh,
traditional. And I'll be doing that this Sunday and inviting people to join and watch that. But uh, not having our friends here is going to be hard. Like this year, I only bought 2 boxes of matzah. See, matzah, giant Jewish cracker. It is made with flour water, no yeast. It doesn't rise. That's the whole point. Usually, I buy 6 to 8 boxes of it.
just
And
two.
yeah, just 2. And right behind my shoulder there, that big brown thing, this is actually a leather Seder plate. This says Seder in Hebrew, Seder. And Seder actually means, if you strictly translate it, order, right? So when Israelis say okay, what they say is Seder, it's okay, right? And Seder is basically a table of contents. And during the ritual of holding the Seder, you sing the table of contents, which just delights the geeky book nerd that I am. We've been thinking of maybe enacting the Seder on Zoom like this. We're not quite sure yet.
Hmm.
It's such a visceral thing, especially when you get to this part. So, had you ever gone to a Seder before you came to ours?
No, no, that was the first. Uh, yeah, that was the first. Curiously, I'd been to a Persian New Year,
Uh-huh.
of course, yeah, which also has um, particular plates and foods that are laid out, and
That's cool.
that was delightful. But no, that is the only Seder I have been to.
Wow.
I know.
So, what
San
was the weirdest thing
Francisco's
for
a,
you?
the weirdest thing. Well, and I knew it was coming, and it was such delight.
Yeah, when you sit down at the table for our Seder, you will find the book on your plate, and on top of it, a leek. Usually, even one bigger than this, if I could find them.
Actually,
And
can you bring the book close to the camera so people can see? Because that photo is very particular and shot by a friend of ours, right?
yes, the photograph is by Michelle Serchuk, and the person in it is my wife Karen Taylor, who is also the co-author of the Seder. So you come to the Seder, you sit down, you have the book, and it's got all the prayers in it, and it's got readings to do and lovely things, and then there's a giant onion on your plate. Now this comes from a tradition observed mostly by Sephardic Jews, the Jews of Spain, southern Italy, northern Africa, and the Middle East. Uh, during, hi cat, don't hit the cat with a leek because they'll develop a fetish, and the next thing you know, you'll have leek leaves under your couch.
Everyone, this is Miss Rue. She's
Hi,
my old
Miss.
lady kitty. She's like 14 years old. She's just sweetness. And she is on my lap right now, I think because she's trying to get away from the
The
teenage
juvenile delinquent.
the juvenile delinquent homicidal maniac Jack.
Poor
Some
thing.
of you know as Cool Cat Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, well, he's not very cool when he's picking on old ladies. Wow,
No.
isn't she telegenic? I never expect to
Yes.
see Tesla. Tesla's the invisible cat. Aw. Well, lucky you. Got a cat to sit in your lap. So anyway, so the Jews from warmer climates, when they're reading their Haggadahs, their Seder guides, they get to the part where you talk about how terrible it was to be a slave in Egypt. And then they usually take spring onions. And by that, they mean like scallions, right? Or the somewhat larger spring onions that you'll find in southern Spain. And then they whack each other with them to pretend that, you're being whipped by an overseer. And I was like, well,
Why
this is an
scallions?
onion.
Why onion?
Well, because it's got long thongs,
Mhm.
like a whip, because the leaves, the sprouts that grow out of the bulb look like a whip. Oh no, honey. Ain't no scallions at my table. Everyone is equipped with one of these. And then when you get to the part where we talk about how harshly the Egyptians treated the Jews, everyone gets to whack the people next to them. Oh yeah. And to this day, one of my favorite things is that in the earlier years when leather men came to the Seder, they would get to the apartment, they would take off their shirts, and they'd like put on their leather vest or just a harness or whatever, because it's a leather Seder, so they're going to, put on their leather doodads. And then invariably they'd be next to some lesbian who was like, oh yeah. I mean, now we have friends who get to the table and take off their shirts because they want the people next to them to hit them extra hard. The point of the exercise is that everyone hits and everyone gets hit. No one, if you opt out, you can't be at the table. You can step away, but you cannot refuse to do one and only do the other.
Can people ask for extra hard beatings?
No, but we did one year give someone a scallion, and in retrospect, we were like, nope, that did not work. In the future, if someone does not wish to be, we gave the person the scallion for the one who didn't want to be hit, right? And it didn't work very well, so we decided that our custom from now on is that you must consent to stay at the table, and if you do not consent to hit and be hit, you may step away. And then you will be called upon to help pick up the leaves and collect them, because invariably people hit hard, and the leaves get stripped off and they fly through the air. It's great fun. And at that point, if you've been sitting next to someone who you never knew before, you are best friends. Because there is nothing like being hit by a large onion to really break the ice.
Yeah, okay. And I like the smell of onion stuff, so fresh onion smell. I mean, what a great way to like whet your appetite, which already whetted from the smell of your briskets.
Well, usually I cook them for 2 days. I'm still not quite sure what we're going to do for first night this year. But we definitely have to open up some sort of virtual online thing so that we can share at least a few of the prayers. It's a pity Zoom doesn't suit singing together, because boy, it doesn't.
Yeah, there's gotta be some, well, they'll develop the technology.
Right. Most people who combine music online record them separately and then blend them. So no, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But at least we can give greetings and maybe exchange blessings and that sort of thing. It's going to be rough. It really is such a favorite thing of mine. And I love the fact that it integrates two really important things for me, right? Because I am passionate about my leather and kink experience and desires, and I write BDSM stories, right? That is a really important world to me. So is being Jewish. And so if I'm going to look for meaning, I'm going to draw from either one of those traditions. And yay, I get to put them together. This is a win-win.
And this is, it's another expression of being a member of a tribe or tribes.
Of a
Yeah.
community of sorts, yes.
Hmm.
I know
Yeah.
some people do have problems with the word tribe, but you know what? Jews are tribes, okay? The tribes have names.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is asserting and affirming your seat at the table, literally and figuratively.
So I wonder how Seder celebrated for, say, those who are down in like the scientific camps in Antarctica or out in space. I mean,
Hmm.
places where there have been extreme distant socializing and not a lot of access to material or people.
That's true. I'm going to have to look into that and see how they might have managed it.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Huh.
because I'd be curious. And Antarctica, I mean, there's social activities and life going on, and then there's life in space.
Right, right. Antarctica, total population 20.
Yeah,
19 of whom are at McMurdo and one is lost.
right. And yeah, and what happens for Seder then? And they've certainly got communication methods with everyone
Right.
north of them, which is in every direction. When north is
Well,
in every direction.
okay, so I'm going to check out what, Jews in space have schlepped with them. We're Jews in space. We're zooming around, supporting the Hebrew race. We're Jews in space. What?
This is a movie that needed to be made.
Um, Mel Brooks's History of the World Part Two
Oh,
ends in space.
oh, right.
It's to the same tune as Men in
Yeah,
Tights,
yes.
which I did not realize for years, but there you go.
So I was just watching The Expanse, and they have in that a giant colonizing generation ship of Mormons going out.
Where are the Jews?
I know,
Why
right?
are Jews in space limited to Captain Susan Ivanova in Babylon 5?
Oh,
That's it. That's it for Jews in space. It's very distressing.
okay. Well, there's a story hook for you. Oh my God, cleaning up the leak bits in zero G.
Well, um, we need experimentation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I need to see astronauts whacking each other with large onions. I think we should start a petition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Space Seder.
Actually,
So,
there is a school of thought in Jewish philosophy and planning on rituals that is taking into account. So, what happens when we're in outer space, and how do you observe the holiday? Oh God, yeah, it's a serious. It's like a Jewish ritual futurism.
I love this. I love this so much. So, what else? What else should we know about leather Seder, and what happens with Oh, and your brisket recipe. Can we post your brisket recipe?
Yeah, I'll absolutely post the brisket recipe.
Okay. Oh, and I am taking notes for show notes that I'll put in I'll put in to the text portion.
Oh, good.
Hmm. And
I
that'll
have
be
to.
available for both of our Patreons.
I do have to say that one of the indelible memories I have of leading the Leather Seder was doing it once at IMSL. Um, I had long since given up judging contests, and IMSL is not a paying gig for teachers, so I wasn't really going anymore. And then Sharon Specter invited me, and it was during the year when Passover fell during IMSL weekend. And usually I don't travel during Passover because it's a pain in the ass. But she said, what if you led the leather seder here? And before you knew it, I was printing up copies of it. I was making leather pride yarmulkes. I'll show you mine. See?
Ah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish ritual to cover your head when you pray. And I led a room of 40 mostly leather dykes doing the leather seder. I led them in singing and dancing and thwacking the shit out of each other. And boy, did they take this. In fact, like half the room kept the leaks as when they left. And yes, there were stories of leaks in the dungeon.
So
and I'm available. Yes, please.
Say again, you're available for?
I'm available to lead a leather seder at your event if it happens to fall during Passover.
Excellent. Now your Haggadah, is it available?
Yes, it is. It is a free download if you are on my Patreon. And in fact, when I say free, it's actually a free download for anyone because open source. I want kinky people to be able to just grab a copy. Or you could pay me for a copy for sale on Amazon, but really you can download it for free so that you could have it. And a lot of people will do that so they can, follow along on their phones or their tablets while they're sitting instead of having a paper booklet in their hands.
Whereas if they want a paper one, they can go to Amazon.
Yes.
Or print out the download. I'll
Yep.
make sure to put the link to the download in the text in the show notes.
Yep.
Okay. And if they wanted to donate to you extra to you anyway?
I am donatable on so many different platforms, Venmo and PayPal and Ko-fi. And of course, you could just, throw a couple extra bucks into the Patreon for 1 month and then adjust downward as your budget and kindness allows.
So I'm thinking I want to wrap up this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This was awesome. And I wish I could be there with you guys.
Yeah, I wish we could all be together this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems a lot of us are going to be doing this window to window.
But hey, I'd rather be Hella Kvetch with you.
And there is no place and no people I would rather be with during a plague than people, the sisterhood of the leeks.
On that note, I'm going to close this recording. We're going to sign off and see you all in the next episode.